Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Cherie Jimenez, and she is playing the role of Gabi Hernandez-DiMera on
Yes.
the Peacock soap opera Days of Our Lives. Hey Cherie, how you doing?
Hi, love. I'm doing so good. Thank you so much for having me. What a wonderful way to spend my Saturday morning.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you on. For everybody
Aw.
listening, I told Cherie this. I will let you all know this is my very first podcast interview since getting COVID. I am over COVID. I had it in early August, but I have for the over a month the post-COVID cough. So so I'll be coughing probably a little bit during this. But I did take the medication the doctor gave me, and hopefully that'll hold off some of it before during this
Yeah.
interview. But so I'm so glad to have you on.
Oh,
Why don't
yay.
we have like get a little background into you and let everybody know how did you get your start into acting?
Of course. So my official start into acting, I would say, would be around the time that I was around 8 years old.
Mhm.
So I grew up in New York City, and my mom and I were approached. I forget the exact details. Of course, my mom would be able to tell you detail for detail. But I was approached, and somebody mentioned that I should get into acting, modeling. And so my mom found open call audition in this magazine called The Backstage,
Mhm.
which I'm sure it still exists, but in New York City, it would be like open calls for auditions so that you could just go if like it was something that you felt like you fit the role, you would go and show up, and that would be you
Mhm.
auditioning. But of course, like 300 to 400 people could be there, so it could be like
Right.
an all day thing. And so she took me to the sunflower commercial, and I've always been like a bit of a tomboy, which is so
Mhm.
funny. Now I'm always in dresses and heels. And as I've gotten older, I've definitely gotten more girly. But that basically introduced me into that world. It was an open call, and every girl had a sunflower dress
Mhm.
with flowers in their hair. I had ripped jeans and a white t-shirt.
Nice.
And of the 300 girls, I ended up making it to the final three girls, and I didn't get the audition, but that basically introduced me into a whole world that I wasn't even aware of prior to that. And the casting director took such a liking to me that she decided to call me in for this movie, The Long Kiss Goodnight, playing Gina Davis's daughter. So that was my first official audition for a movie. I went in, and she basically taught me how to audition right there. You know, like I had never looked at sides. I was looking at them, and she was like, just put it down and just read it. And so I started with her just auditioning, and then I went to the Broadway Dance Center. I was also a ballerina for a little bit. That's funny enough, my other life, that I received a scholarship to actually really pursue it
Nice.
around the same time that I was doing acting classes and singing
Mhm.
classes, and I chose to part ways with ballet, because it became something that if I had chosen that route, it would have had to been something that I would have had to really dedicate my time
Mhm.
towards. So I decided to stay within the arts, and did modeling jobs, did commercials, and as I've said on another podcast, or another interview, but I guess I'll tell you on this one,
Mhm.
what really got me into really wanting to be an actor, or when I decided that this was something that I wanted to do, was I went to the Sundance Filmmakers Lab. So Sundance hosts every year called a Sundance Filmmakers Lab, and it's writers. They choose a number of writers with their scripts, and they go and they're given about a month and a half to film. They're
Okay.
given cameras, they're given location, they're given a crew. They can bring their actors. There's other actors there as well. And you can, if they're available, you can have them work for you. And it's basically something that you do for free.
Mhm.
It's more about the experience. And also, if your film gets chosen, it's also the experience of being at Sundance because of
Mhm.
the actors and the
Yeah.
connections that you can make that in itself. And it's such an honor. But if your film gets chosen, it gets made into a full length feature,
Nice.
and it premieres at Sundance.
Nice.
So I booked this movie called Caucasia, and I was 12 years old when I booked it. And I went to Sundance. My mom and I went out there for about a month and a half. We basically moved there, and we lived up there. And I filmed with the cast is wild, especially now being older. But back then, I was young. I didn't really know what I was surrounded by, except that I was having this incredible experience. Kerry Washington played my half sister. Connie
Nice.
Britton played my mother. Michael Beach played my father, and Jake Gyllenhaal played my boyfriend. And by
Nice.
boyfriend, we were both under 18 at the time, so it wasn't as crazy as it sounds. Um, and the scene that they chose from the movie wasn't the one that they wanted to do initially because I was too young to do that
Oh,
scene.
wow.
But so I did that film, and every week we would film different scenes and we would showcase the scenes at the end of it. On top of the fact that they had actors there that were doing acting classes, and we do screenplay readings. So I had classes by Sally Field and Delroy Lindo, and Stanley Tucci would supervise my work. It was a wild experience, but it was my first time really going into that world, because prior to that I had done a student film, I had done a couple of independent films, and those were all amazing experiences, but that was really like a master class
Mhm.
into this world that I didn't really know much about, because
Mhm.
everything that I fell into was just, I guess, by chance. It wasn't like I had too much formal training other than the Broadway Dance Center, and I went to the Performing Arts School. So I was getting training, but this was going into the real world.
Mhm.
And after that experience, I decided that this is what I wanted to do when I got older. And so I decided that this was it. And then shortly after, because I grew up in New York City, we moved to Westchester County. I'm not sure how familiar you are with New York, but basically I went from a performing arts school to a public school. And the public school was not very kind to me auditioning, to me doing this world. They were like, no, you got to focus on school. So I took a step away from acting because I just wasn't able to put the focus the way I was
Mhm.
when I was in middle school, because the performing arts school allowed for us to audition. So I went and filmed this
Mm.
movie and came back and I got A's
Nice.
because I was out there doing exactly what the school wanted you to do.
Nice.
And I was doing homework, but like the homework didn't matter. The academics didn't matter as much as the
Wow.
real life experience of being a working actor or on Broadway or whatever. I had friends that
Mhm.
did all different kinds of things there. So I took some time apart, which honestly I think was a really good thing for me now in hindsight, being able to look at it, that I was able to take those 4 years and to really make that decision and to be a kid, to be a
Yeah.
teenager. And I met all my best friends out in Westchester. I wasn't too fond of moving there at first because I was like, you're taking me away from my life and the world and this whole life that I've created out
Right.
here. But it was a beautiful experience. And then funny enough, something I've never talked about is my first screen test was for One Life to Live.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and, it was for One Life to Live, and, I was 16 when I did the screen test for it, and that was an audition that I said was a doctor's appointment. So, because I was like, "Okay, yeah,
Right.
doctor's appointment," and I screen tested for it. It wasn't meant to be, and then 6 months later, they ended up letting the girl go and called me back again, but I was 17 by that point, and, they were considering myself and Melissa Fumero, who actually ended up being the one that booked the role.
Mhm.
And so she ended up getting it, and it just, wasn't meant to be. But it's funny
Mhm.
because now looking back, it
Yeah.
was like the universe was giving me a sign into my
Yeah.
future and being like, hey, the soap world. Because other than that, I mean, I grew up on Spanish soaps. Spanish is my first language.
Okay.
And I'm Puerto Rican, Dominican, Italian, Sicilian,
Mhm.
Spanish, Spain. I'm just a whole hodgepodge of a bunch of things. And so Spanish soaps were my thing when I was little. I was definitely too young to be watching them, for sure, but I would sneak off into my grandmother's sister's room, and I'd be watching these soaps with her. And then English TV, when I first started watching English TV, it was Tales of the Crypt,
Mhm.
Sailor Moon, and Passions.
Nice.
Passions for like
Nice.
the first three things. And then Days of Our Lives was on there because Bo and Hope, I can't ever forget them. They are definitely a big part of just like that. For me, that's what I know Days of Our Lives to be from when I was younger. Um, but yeah, other than that, I kind of did that, and then I decided to audition for SUNY Purchase Acting Conservatory and Juilliard, and I decided that if I didn't get into any of those, that I would move to LA. I got into SUNY Purchase Acting Conservatory from
Nice.
26 from all around the US. Um, and that school was recommended to me by Stanley Tucci at Sundance Lab, which is funny because he went there. So when I was 12, he told me that if this was something that I wanted to continue to do when I was older,
Yeah.
that a conservatory would be a really great way for me to continue to study my craft and to just build myself as an actor. So I got in, I auditioned, I did
Nice.
all the stuff, I got in, I did the work. It was tough in a lot of ways and also really incredible in a lot of ways. It's so funny because I used to have a really thick New York accent. Um, and one of my hardest classes at the conservatory was speech class because I
Oh,
used to say
wow.
talk, like all my A's were was and talk and water, like very, very, very New York. Um, and it was like I compare speech class to math class. Like math wasn't my favorite and the
Yeah.
hardest subject for me.
Oh, I hate
So it
math.
was, yeah, but it was really difficult. So every day, I'd go in there with the eraser and I'd practice my sounds and practice my S's and my T's. Every so often, it kind of comes through the little things that I have from my New York accent. But by the end of it, uh my accent was actually gone. And I
Nice.
was like, wow, all of that hard work I put in actually paid off. But I only attended that school for a year instead of the 4 years. And I decided to move to LA when I was 19 and
Nice.
just actually go out and pursue this. And I will say, coming to LA was really difficult, especially as a 19-year-old, not really knowing anyone. Um, Kind of starting over. In New York, I had such a foundation as far as just casting directors and so much that I knew that it was really starting over. So I definitely had a very difficult start into this industry, and now I'm 37. So lots of auditions and also not lots of auditions. There wasn't a lot of opportunities for me being a young Latin female in this
Right.
industry, especially at that time. And Days of Our Lives came
Yes.
around when I was 22. So that was one of the first, I'd say that was the only role that came around for a Latin female at that time
Mhm.
that actually had some substance to her and actually
Mhm.
had a story versus just the hot Latin girl or the
Yeah.
friend or just the basic roles of what
Yeah.
existed then. Um, and so that to me was just like such an opportunity, such an
Right.
incredible opportunity. And of course, Days of Our Lives is so iconic.
Yeah.
Um, and, I got a call back. My mom actually found the email a couple months back and sent it to me from my actual audition. And
Nice.
Marnie had given me a same day callback, which is wild to look back on it. I saw the original sides for Gabby, the original breakdown for Gabby of what they wanted at that time. And I got the call back. I did the stuff. It wasn't meant to be, perfectly fine. I have I've always had a really great attitude when it comes to, I guess, the universal way of the way that things that are meant for you and aren't meant for
Right.
you are to come into your life and leave your life. And so I always was at peace with letting that one go,
Mhm.
but it always stayed on my mind. It was always in the
Right.
back of my mind as just one of those opportunities that would have been just like one of the great ones.
Right.
And then, yeah, I just kind of continued on and continued audition, rejection. I always had my little side jobs. And then I was always blessed to book something, though I will say, once I started booking, the universe really started opening up for me because I had a really tough time with I guess getting on TV or being on a TV show. I would book commercials. Commercials were a really great, beautiful thing for me to book. But TV, I would
Yeah.
audition, audition, audition. And my agent said to me, it's kind of like a catch 22.
Mhm.
Unless you have credits, they won't really they like look at your credits,
Yeah.
and like there's this magical list that exists in Hollywood that's a real list, and they
Mhm.
have the actors that they want to work with on that list. So every year they look at that list, and it's like if you're not on the list, you're kind of an afterthought, you know, and like you got to really just be at the right place, right time,
Right.
and just be the right one for the role for them to notice you. And so it just wasn't happening. And I was like, you know what? One year, and this was pilot season, it came around and I went into my agent's office and I was like, hey, so what's going on this pilot season? Kind of like maybe a little, just like I always had that hopeful, excited feeling of like, hey, maybe this is the year, maybe this is the year. And my reps were like, yeah, there's really not much opportunity. It's kind of hard because you don't have any television credits yet. So
Mhm.
I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And also, too, continued being a Latina in this industry
Mhm.
was very difficult. There weren't a
Yeah.
lot of opportunities. So there was that aspect as well. And so I was like, okay, you know what? That's fine. My parents had a timeshare in Mexico and they were like, do you want to come to Mexico and do a little family vacation? And I was like, yeah, you know what? It's the middle of pilot season, but screw it. Let's
Right.
go. So I'm packing for Mexico and I get an audition for the newsroom on HBO.
Nice.
And it's one line. It's just a waitress role. And I forget what I had to say, but I had to say this line. And I was like, whatever. I'll go do it. I go to this audition. There's blonde girls, Spanish girls, Black, Asian, every ethnicity you could
Nice.
think of is there. So they don't know what they want. They just want a girl to do this line. So I was like,
Right.
whatever. And I didn't print out the sides because I was like, what's the point? It's one line, you know?
Right.
And on a piece of paper at that time, I had this book that I got called How to Get Everything You Ever Wanted. And in this book, the first chapter was the Karma Mountain, and it's about forgiveness.
Okay.
And it's about forgiving people in your life and forgiving yourself. And you know, there's all these little aspects of it. And at the time I was like, forgive, what is that? You know, like what? I was young. I was like, okay. So I like went forward and I was like, what's going on in this book? And it talks about meditation and manifestation, things that I didn't understand then. But one of the things that it had was it said, um, speak what you want and so it is. It was like this little
Okay.
saying, and so it is. So I really liked that saying. And
Mhm.
so on this little piece of paper, instead of writing my line, I just wrote, and so it is. That's it. Not even thinking that I wanted this role or anything having to do with that. I don't know why. I just wrote it. And then they called me in. I went into the audition. I did it. I messed up the line completely. I just completely made up something different. So instead of saying, let's say, and here's your chili charred beef skewer, I said, and here's your barbecue chili charred beef skewer. It was like
Oh,
I
wow.
added a word in there that
Right.
wasn't in there. And the casting director went, oh, well, that's not it. And I started laughing and I go, no, that's not it at all. I go, give me a second. I got it. I went to look at the piece of paper and all I saw was, and so it is. I was like, really, Cherie? You couldn't write the line on here? And it's one line, mind you. I mean, I've done monologues, but this one line. And so I was like, no, but I know it. I know it. It's fine. So I was like, let's do it again. I did it again. Again. I did not say the correct line.
Oh my
And she
God.
was like, it's fine. I was like, you know what? It is fine. All right, we're done. I walked out of there. In the car, I could say the line perfectly.
Oh
On the
my
ride
God.
home, I was laughing. I was like, what is that? How, like, out of all the things, one line, I somehow messed up. I was with a friend that night and we were talking about it and I was laughing. And I'm packing for Mexico and I was like, this is hilarious. Like, I've never had an audition for one line and messed up the one line. Like, I don't even know where these extra words came from, but they came out of nowhere. Cut to the next morning, I'm at the bank. I got a call and they were like, hey, Cherie, you're on a veil for the newsroom. And I was like, and I'm not going to curse, but I said, no
Right.
effing way. Like, what? There is no way. And I was like, look at that. So I thought that that was funny. And they were like, yeah, you know, we'll let you know. And I was like, all right. So I'm over here like the night before being this stressing, not stressing, laughing at myself over this
Right.
one line. And I'm on a veil. 5 minutes later, I get called. Oh, they dropped you. So in the way it works in the acting world is if they're interested in you for a role, they'll see if you're available for it first. So
Mhm.
they have you as a consideration as one of like the top 5 girls. Let's say there's
Mhm.
5 of you that they're interested in. So you're on a veil. And so they're like, okay, she's available. And if they book you, then you're the one for the role.
Mhm.
If they don't, if they are looking at the 5 girls and they go, you know what, Cherie's not going to work, they'll just take my picture off. So that's what they did. They took my picture off
Wow.
and they were like, Cherie's not the one, so we're going to drop her. That's like the term they use.
Right.
I didn't care. The fact that I was even on a veil for something that I messed up was in itself just like such an awesome little thing that
That
I
is
was
pretty
like,
funny
look
though.
at that. So even when I got dropped, I was like, you know what? I didn't even expect to book this, so that's fine. So I go back home and I'm finishing off the last parts of packing. And I get a call from my manager at the time. She's like, hey, Cherie, you have 30 minutes to get to Gower Studios. Aaron Sorkin wants you to come in and wants you to read for the role of Chelsea, the new bartender at Hang Choose. And I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, I don't know, just get there. I was like, okay. So I got my ass up. I drove to Gower Studios and the casting director gave me a sheet, like sides with a
Nice.
couple of lines and was like, hey, thank you so much for being here. And she was so appreciative of me being there that I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, well, thank you for having me. She's like, thank you for coming in on short notice. I'll just give you a couple minutes to look it over and then come in when you're ready. And I was like, okay. So I looked it over. I went in and she was like, hey, so are you available next Wednesday? This is when it shoots. And I was like, yeah, I'm leaving for Mexico the next day. So no, I'm not available. But in my mind, they're calling a bunch of girls in for this. So I don't
Right.
really, I'm not knowing what's going on. I do it. I knew all my lines. They give me 5 lines and I know them all, or like 3 lines, right? So I know them all and I do it. And she's like, okay, thank you so much. I go, thank you. And I leave. And I was like, huh, okay, cool. Cut to on my ride home, I booked it. They called
Nice.
me and I guess Aaron Sorkin was there watching me on the screen from the other room and booked me. So I
Mhm.
went from not having a television credit and not being able to really get much opportunity to my first TV show ever being The Newsroom and Aaron
Nice.
Sorkin being the one who gave me the opportunity. All off of a line that I messed up, that in my
Nice.
mind, I was like, oh, okay, wow, really, Cherie, you couldn't get one line. And that opened the door to so many incredible blessings
That's
and
awesome.
opportunities that from there on, I truly believe um, was a catapult into just where I am now. And it's been such a beautiful experience ever since. And also, that showed me I already believed in the universal way of the way things work to begin with, but that really gave me just more of a confirmation that what is meant for me is truly
Right.
meant for me. So, cut to now I'm Gabby, and this opportunity has come back around, and this has just been incredible. I've been there for 9 months, and I love it. I love it so much.
Oh, excuse me, sorry.
Oh no, not at all, not at all, love. You're all good. You're all good. I love going to work. I love the people I work with, the
Mhm.
producers, the crew, the actors. Everyone works so hard. And at now at 37, this opportunity come into my life. It's a lot of work. This
Right.
soap world is unlike anything that I have ever experienced or knew that
Right.
existed. And so I know that everybody in Hollywood works hard. That's not
Right.
saying that they all don't, but I truly consider this the hardest working cast and crew I have ever had the honor to work
Right.
alongside. And so it's just been beautiful and
That's great.
amazing.
And the
Yeah.
best part is no math.
Yeah. And there's no math. There's no math.
I can't say the same about like I was telling you in on Twitter, I'm in grad school getting my master's and I
Yeah,
also work
that's
for,
right.
yeah, and I also work for the US Coast Guard as the senior developer and some
Oh,
of the
wow.
math that I've been doing, oh my gosh, like I was taking a class last semester, was a programming class. It was about React JS and mobile web development and all that stuff. And and the project I was given was I had to create an entire web application for a real-time weather app. So if I were to type in like Anchorage, Alaska, it would tell me the weather there, if it's snowing, rain, and sunny, cloudy, all that stuff. And it would tell me a 7-day forecast, the humidity, all that stuff. And every hour on the hour it would update and it would do. And then if you type in Iceland or whatever, it would say the same. It would say Iceland's real-time temperature and it would be dynamic.
Yeah.
And I did a really good job on it, but that wasn't more than enough math that I needed to
Yeah.
handle for a
You were like,
lifetime.
whoa.
It was more than enough. I got an A on it and I passed the class with
There
an
you
A,
go. There you go. And
but it
congratulations
wasn't
on that
fun. It
A.
wasn't fun. So
Yeah, of
I mean,
course.
anything that keeps me away from math, I'll stick with the logic, but you could keep the math.
Yes, you can keep the math. Exactly. But that's amazing though. Good
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So obviously, you said you auditioned for Gabby. I'm assuming it was when the part first came to be.
Yeah.
So all these years later, I'm assuming you had another audition. So what was that like?
Yeah, of
Obviously, you
course.
got it.
Yeah, I know, I know. So that one, funny enough, so last year, during the actor strike, I also have a son, as I told you,
Right.
toddler. Hence,
Yep.
my husband took him to the park, or else he'd be hijacking this whole entire podcast, um, in the most adorable way ever.
Husband of the
But
Year award.
yeah, 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 yeah. I had my son, and so I stepped away from acting for a bit. And then within stepping away from acting after having him, I ended up filming 2 movies. One was a
Mhm.
director that I had worked with prior who wrote me into her movie, and another one was, something that I thought was gonna be a small little thing ended up being the biggest movie I've ever done.
Oh,
It's not
nice.
out yet, but when it is, I will let you guys know. I'm really excited
Absolutely.
about that one. It's got such a great cast, so that opportunity came, and on that one, my son was on set with me because I was breastfeeding, and
Hmm.
so uh, as welcoming and as incredible as the set and the movie was in supporting me as a mother, it was also really difficult. So after that movie, I decided that I was going to kind of step away from acting again and just continue to focus on motherhood. I think I took like maybe like a couple of auditions at the beginning that
Hmm.
came around, but essentially I wasn't really trying to get back into the industry.
Right.
Um, and so the writer's strike happened, and
Mhm.
then financially, it just got really difficult for my husband and I living out
Mhm.
here. And then also, we found black mold all throughout our place.
Ooh.
So, yeah, and it started causing health issues. And then we have a toddler. So, we left
Yeah.
to Texas, which is where my husband's from. His grandmother left us a house in East
Okay.
Texas, and so we went out there and just decided to go live that life. And with the writer's strike, there's nothing
Mhm.
going on. So
Right.
you don't know and what's going to happen in the industry. You're like, okay, well, let me just go,
Yeah. And
go do this.
without the writers, I mean, there's really what movies are there? You know, what parts are
Exactly.
there?
Exactly. The writers
Yeah.
are the industry.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and always in full support of the writers, always.
Absolutely.
And so for me, I was like, okay, this is in alignment, just kind of where I'm for this happening at this
Mhm.
time. I get to continue focusing on motherhood. Then an audition comes in for Days of Our Lives,
Nice.
and I haven't auditioned for Days of Our Lives since Gabby. So I saw that, and there wasn't that hesitation of, oh, should I do it? I was like, yeah. I was like, you know what?
Fate.
What is the role? Why not? I'll do an audition, not thinking anything of it. They sent it as an alias. So the
Okay.
role was written as Amalia,
Okay.
and it was a Spanish Spitfire, boss woman, basically all the things that Gabby is.
Sounds like Gabby.
But I knew that Camila had been the one that booked the show, because I know that there was somebody prior to her.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I never heard of her being the one that booked it. I just knew Camila as Gabby. And so I
Mhm.
knew that Camila had a long run as Gabby. And I also have my son's godfather who's worked with her and knows her very well.
Mhm.
And so that was that. And so I thought that I was going to be a cousin, a
Mhm.
sister, somebody related. So I was all for it. I was like, oh, cool. They're hiring a family member. Did the audition, and I did the self tape. Fine, sent it in. Didn't think anything of it. Then I got a call back with Marnie, and Marnie's so wonderful. She's truly one of the best casting directors in Los Angeles. Um, I did it with her, and it's funny because in the callback, she goes to me, uh, or we did a Zoom. She was like,
Mhm.
that soaps are just one take and go, right? Like it's just they do everything in one take. And I was like, yeah, I have some friends on some soaps, on various soaps. I've heard of that before. She was like, okay, so we start the scene and I mess up. And then
Oh,
she goes, okay, we got to go again. And in my head, I was like, one take, Cherie, one take.
right.
So like we had to do it in a second take, which I thought
Nice.
was really funny. But thankfully I'm not hard on myself with that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
I can laugh at myself. I'm always really kind with myself.
right. That's
So I
good,
was
that's
like, I
good.
was there. So I got a good giggle out of it. Did it. It was done. Whatever. Forgot about it. Then 2 weeks later, I get the screen test. Contract, and they tell me that I got to fly out to Los Angeles and do the screen test. And I was like, wow.
Nice.
Again, like didn't expect anything from this, did not expect this to go this far. And what really got me was when I got the contract and it said Gabi Hernandez.
Wow.
My heart dropped in my stomach. And all of a sudden, I stopped and I decided to Google because I was like, hold on, what? Like, I didn't look up anything about days or what was
Right.
going on. And I saw that Camila was leaving after 13 years. And
Yeah.
that's when everything started to hit for me in a very different way because all of a sudden, this opportunity that came about wasn't just a family member, it was the role that I auditioned for 13, 14 plus years ago.
Like it's fate.
Um, yeah. And even when it came through, I didn't think to myself, oh, this is meant for me. I just
Right.
thought, wow, look at that. Um, so I flew out to Los Angeles and I did a work session with Marnie. And that's when I talked to Marnie during the work session where
Mhm.
she kind of just went through Gabby and who Gabby is and just, you know, from what
Mhm.
I'm aware and I know is that Camila brought a lot of her personality into Gabby. And so that's why Gabby is or was who she was for 13 years.
Right.
This very just very expressive. I
Right.
myself, and as people get to know me, I am, but when you first get to know me, I'm very quiet, I'm very reserved, I'm very and I just have a very different personality than her. And
Mhm.
so within the work session, it was interesting because she even said to me, she was like, you know, you don't have that like or or she's not, or it's not that she said that I didn't have the fire, because she's like, I
Mhm.
know you have the fire there, but you're very reserved. You're just very contained
Yeah.
with everything. And I was like, yeah, I am. And she goes, I want you to bring out that fire. I want you to bring something more out. And so she was like, you'll see what I mean. Just kind of watch a little bit of Camila. And I didn't want to watch too much of her
Mhm.
because I didn't want to do what she did, even though I know that the fans were like, why don't we have what
Mhm.
Camila did, the version? But as an actor, I'm very true to myself and my craft. And if I were to copy what she did, it would make me a bad actor. You would
Mhm.
see that I'm overacting and trying to emulate what somebody else has
Yeah.
created. And that's just not truthful to me. So I knew that no matter what, that I wasn't going to give that, but I was going to give
Mhm.
my own version. So I decided to stay true to myself and find that fire within, but in the way that I would present it and
Right.
within who I am and what that means to me. And so the screen test was an awesome experience. I went into that one with the intention of giving it my all,
Mhm.
doing the best that I absolutely could, walking away from it knowing that no
Mhm.
matter what happened, that I could always look back on this experience and be proud of what I did in
Right.
that screen test. Regardless, I detached from any outcome, whether I booked it, I didn't book it. That wasn't even the goal for me. Now, did I want it? Yes, I did. And that I was clear on. I knew that I wanted it if it was meant to be.
Yeah.
100% yes. But this industry is also very unpredictable.
Yes.
It is, I have dealt with so much rejection. I've been told no. I have been up for things and not been the one
Yeah.
so many times. And so in a way I got used to that being just what it was.
Right.
And so when I did book stuff throughout the years, every time I'd scream in excitement and joy and just so much gratitude for the opportunity.
Yeah.
I've always been very grateful and also grateful regardless if I didn't get it, just grateful for the opportunity, grateful for the experience and for being in front of people that I would have never been in front of. And if it wasn't right for me, then that's okay. It was right for the other girl. It was meant for her. So that's just always how I viewed things. And so when I went to the screen test, I screen tested against one of my friends, funny enough.
Mhm.
And I am friends with a lot of the Latin females in the industry just
Mhm.
because there's a small group of us that audition.
Mhm.
Um, or, just a group of us that continuously go out for the same roles because there's only so many Spanish roles
Yeah.
that truly still exist, but there's more. And so I walked away from it and I was like, all right, I
Mhm.
was so proud of myself. Brandon was so wonderful.
Mhm.
We connected in such a beautiful way. He's become such a dear friend of mine.
Nice.
And Noel and Janet, the producers, they were so wonderful and welcoming.
Mhm.
Marnie's incredible.
Mhm.
And so I just already felt really comfortable. And then in the screen test as well, I saw the Phoenix statue on the table right before it
Nice.
started. And I thought to myself, huh, I didn't know that Phoenix was a symbol of the DiMeras. And my
Yeah.
son's name is Phoenix. I have behind me, there's a Phoenix
Oh,
up there.
nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Love that.
And so I named him Phoenix as the Firebird. And I saw that and I thought, huh, that's cool. Let it be. And did my screen test, felt incredible, really just gave it my all, left and flew back to Texas a couple of days later, back to the
Nice.
farm and back to just what life was. And then the next day my agents called me and that was a really special day because when they called me, they didn't tell me that I booked it right away. Of course
Right.
not. They were like, "So how'd it go? I just wanted to, just ask, how was your experience?" "Oh, okay, that's cool." They were like, "So we have some feedback." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, what's up?" And they were like, "So they thought you did really great and you had great chemistry with Brandon and they unanimously decided that you were the one."
Nice.
And I just started crying. I mean,
That's
I was
great.
just so grateful in that moment to, after all these years within this industry, that
Mhm.
I was the one and that this was meant for me. And what a beautiful thing it is that
Mhm.
all these years later that this
Yeah.
role that I auditioned for at 22 would
Right.
come back around when I was 37.
Right.
And it truly was always meant for me, but not at that time. It was meant for Camila.
Mhm.
And so I remind myself every day as well that I belong here and that I'm meant to
Mhm.
be here and that, and now 9 months later, I am Gabby.
Yes.
Just lives within me and I am so comfortable within this role and I have the storylines and everything. It's just so
Right.
exciting.
It
I
is.
have such a simple life outside of this. I have a husband, I have a son, I have a loving family. Everything is just,
Right.
like not to say that things don't go on, but it's no drama in that
Yeah.
sense. At work, oh my God, this whole other life I live
Mhm.
is just so fun.
Yeah.
And I love it. I
Absolutely.
love it. So I'm just really grateful to be on the
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
Absolutely. And sorry. Oh my
Not
gosh,
at all.
this this cough is just annoying me.
You
Um
don't have to apologize,
I
love. You're
really
all
can't wait
good.
till it goes away.
I'm just sorry that it's still lingering after
I
so
know
long.
it's absolutely dreadful. So obviously, as you mentioned, Camila had the part for all these years.
Mhm.
Personally, I get nervous with the recasts because
Mhm.
we had somebody for over a decade. That's a long time,
That's a very
and
long time.
yes, and then you have to get used to somebody else. And I
Mhm.
at first when I first like I started watching Days back in 1995. I remember
Oh,
faking
wow.
being sick one day from school. My mom has Days on the TV, and I'm watching, and the first thing I see is Marlena turn into a panther during the devil possession storyline. So I was hooked ever since.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and when Dan took over the role for EJ, I was
Mhm.
like, wow, he's a really good EJ. He's a perfect EJ. I didn't think anybody could replace James Conn. Like he's like the perfect EJ. And when I heard that Camila was leaving, I'm like, okay, well, I'm assuming either they're gonna have a recast or they're not gonna have the character. And then,
Mhm.
but when she's going off to jail, they usually bring them back. But when Camila's reasonings of leaving what was mentioned, I was like, okay,
Mhm.
well, maybe, they will do a recast. And then when you were eventually announced, I'm like, I'm gonna give her a chance. I gave Dan a chance and he did a good job. I'm gonna give you
Mhm.
a chance. And honestly, you blew me away. I- if
Oh,
anybody could be the perfect Gabby, it's you. Honestly, not kissing your ass or anything. Like you really are the perfect Gabby. Obviously we needed to have somebody fill the part, and you are perfect for that part. However, there are a lot of fans out there that, want Camila back, or they
of
want,
course.
they,
Of course.
faithful to her, or they're just not used to recast or whatever. A decade is a long time. So what do you have to say to those fans, to let them know, like, give me a chance.
Yeah.
I'm a good Gabby.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, first, thank you so much for your
Yeah,
support and for giving me a chance, because
absolutely.
that I think has been the hardest part for me, and even still every day with being a recast. This is a different situation because I've waited all my life for the opportunity to be the lead of a show,
Hmm.
to, like within all these years of being in the industry and pursuing this is the biggest role that I have ever had the
Hmm.
opportunity to play. And it is such an incredible role. And I
Hmm.
love it so much. Like I couldn't have asked for anything better. And so I'm living in gratitude every day, like I said.
Hmm.
Um, Now, with that said, the biggest role comes into my life, a dream role comes into my life, but it's a recast. So
Hmm.
I'm being compared to her
Yeah.
so much.
Yes.
And I'm a girl's girl. I always have been. And especially within this industry, I'm also very supportive of all of my friends and all of the other females I audition
Mhm.
for, because I don't view them as competition. That's just not who I am. I've never
Right.
been that way. And so, this has put me in a situation where I'm constantly being compared to her.
Mm.
I'm constantly being compared to her beauty. I'm constantly being compared
Mhm.
to her acting, to just all her mannerisms, everything. And so this is just the territory. This is
Right.
just what it comes with. And so that I accept, even though it doesn't feel good to be compared to
Yeah.
her. I wish that it wasn't that. I wish that there could be an acceptance of that. We just are both who we are, and we're both different people. And she played such a wonderful Gabby based on her. She basically created the role of Gabby, I
Hmm.
would say, because the one prior to her was only there for so long. So nobody
Right.
really remembers her, and she's Gabby.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I come in and I'm not playing it like her.
Right.
Now, there's little elements over time, as you will see, and it's starting to come out. there's I'm starting to get more comfortable. I'm starting to drop my
Hmm.
shoulders. I'm starting to like
Right.
exist within this role, also within all the tight dresses. I mean, I just came off postpartum when I booked this. So
Hmm.
I was at home with a baby every single day, didn't
Hmm.
really have the time to work out. The most I was doing was restoring my core from my birth.
Hmm.
So all of a sudden put into these dresses, and I'm like, just, like, I'm confident in myself as a woman and
Hmm.
kind to myself because I gave birth, and that's such a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. And the relationship I have with my body is so different than it used to be. But
Yeah.
also, it's a thing to be scrutinized of like, she's too skinny, she's not this, that. And I'm just like, oh my God, hold on. I just had a baby. I've been breastfeeding. There's so much that's going on.
Right.
They give me time to adapt to building my strength and becoming strong and getting my body right so that I can fill those dresses right,
Yeah.
just so that I can be, because Gabby is sexy, Gabby is curvy, Gabby
Right.
is also a spitfire. I am too. I'm just a very different spitfire than
Right.
she is. And so
Absolutely.
that's also the different thing, is that I just have a different way of being, of myself as a confident woman than she had. Um, I am Latin. Spanish is my
Right.
first language. It's funny. I've had people be like, fans write
Hmm.
to me and be like, you don't even speak Spanish. What are you, Indian or this or that? Yeah, I do resemble some Indian women. I do resemble Armenian and Persian women, but I'm
Yeah.
Dominican and Puerto Rican. Spanish is my first language. I am a Latina just because
Some of
I'm
that
not
colorful
speaking
language you were
fast.
saying on days.
Yeah, like just because I'm not speaking fast and I'm not
Right.
loud in this, is that what you think a Latina is? Because it's
Right.
not. That is her portrayal of who she is, and she's Cuban, and so that's just her spice and her fire, and that's a beautiful
Hmm.
thing. Like, yes, go Camila. For me, I'm a different kind of Latina.
Yeah.
Like I'm just I just am who I am. So I've had a lot of fans express to me how they feel, and they have no problem messaging me and letting me know
Right.
how they feel. I think the hardest part about the fans that don't like me is that I don't know the extent of what's being said. However, for some reason on Facebook, lately, I think because I'm on days and because my mom created She's so sweet.
She
A Days
is
of
so
Our
sweet.
Lives
She's
group.
loving all of my stuff, and I love it.
Yeah. She created a Days of Our Lives group for me called Cherie's Mom or Gabby's Mom or something on
Nice.
Facebook. And we're like, she's like, I will not tolerate any people being mean,
Good.
and I just want kindness. And so we have some friends and family that are in there, and some fans and people that are just supportive and accepting. And so that's such a beautiful thing. But
Yeah.
I've been getting suggested posts, I guess that's what Facebook does now.
Hmm.
So I've been seeing some things, not voluntarily, not wanting to, where it'll be a picture of me and a picture of Camila, and being like, well, here's the drama between Camila and Gabby and how Camila really feels about this and that. And they use a picture that is not my most, like, okay, I'm just going to say this because I have to.
Okay.
My first introduction as Gabby, I can't stand the way I look. I think I look so, and that is, like we all have our things, our insecurity. I think I look unattractive. And like my like when I walk out and see Stefan from my left side,
Mhm.
like I know that I'm a beautiful person. I'm a
Yeah.
beautiful woman inside out, and that's not saying anything at all. Now, with that said, my left side is not my favorite versus my right side, and I know
Right.
everybody has that. That just is what it is.
Right.
And so my biggest insecurity has always been my nose. And so it's interesting because within this industry,
Hmm.
it's about beauty and how you look, and and
Hmm.
also as well as talent. But to be a woman, to be in this industry, you have to just be beautiful. And I know I'm beautiful, but then all of a sudden, I get booked on a show where I'm not only being compared to somebody else,
Hmm.
and Camila's stunning. She is
Yep.
beautiful in her own way. I am beautiful in my own way.
Yep.
When you put us together, you're comparing two women that we don't, I mean, sure, we have slight resemblances because
Right.
we're both dark hair, eyes, but we don't look alike.
Right.
So what's happening is that with that picture alone, with that post alone, they're putting her most beautiful picture, and they're finding a still of me where I don't look my best.
And it's
And
probably the
then
picture of when you're literally in jail in the
in jail,
jean jacket.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm just like, and not only that, when Brandon had kissed me, I guess that my ear was sticking out. So when I was watching the first episode, I was like, oh my God, my damn ear. So I was
Oh my
distracted
God.
because like my ear was like this, and I was
Oh
like,
my
oh
God.
my God. And I was like, great. So not only is my first shot, I look like shit. Well, not like shit. I didn't look bad,
Right.
but I just didn't care for the way I looked. And so not only did I not care for the way I look coming out, I literally started questioning my own beauty. And I was like,
Wow.
wow, am I not as beautiful as I thought? Because now I'm on camera all the
Hmm.
time. And my left side has always been an insecurity. And so it's interesting because people are always like, Cherie, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. But now it's all of a sudden I'm being validated in what
Wow.
I always thought by seeing myself from, and that's just me, right?
Right.
Because when I first appeared on that set that day and they were like, okay, we're going to have you shoot from your left side, I go, okay, this is the self-love work that I've done. I don't know, the heart that I have is my
Hmm.
self-love heart. Um, I got it from myself when I started really working on myself and started to understand what it was to love myself and accept myself as I
Hmm.
am. And we all have insecurities, we all have things that we struggle with in life.
Hmm.
And for me, I just was struggling with a lot of
Right.
self-worth issues,
Mhm.
and self-limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And that was something that I had to really dig deep in and work on myself. And so I've accepted myself as I am,
Yeah.
my nose, everything,
Yeah.
all the
You're
things.
you're beautiful. Like
Thank you.
you're
Thank
literally.
you. Thank you
Do
so
you look like
much.
Camila? Absolutely not. But
Oh,
but
yes.
but nobody not every two people look like each other, not every
Yeah,
Latina
exactly.
looks like each other. Not every, person look like each other. Like you're beautiful in your own way. Camila's beautiful in her own way, and
Yes,
comparing them is just ignorance. It really
it
is.
is. It is. And so that's been really hard, but like it's interesting because it's shown a light on my insecurities, and
Mhm.
my insecurities, the fans have taken to them. And
Mhm.
that's what they're pointing out. And so that's, I think, been the toughest part for me, mental health wise,
Mhm.
of really checking in with myself every single day,
Yeah.
because they've attacked my insecurities.
Mhm.
And the comparison game of myself and another female sucks.
Yeah.
The not giving me a chance is a bummer, but at the same time, it's not that I expect them to give me a chance, because I would love for them to give me a chance, and I would hope that my work over time will be what helps them give me a chance and helps to accept me. But also, it's like, I understand for 13 years you had Camila, and now you have a
Yeah.
different person and you loved her portrayal of it.
Hmm.
So, of course, you're not going to be accepting of me. And so, I
Yeah.
think that's the thing, too, is that, like, I didn't expect for people to completely be like, okay, well, let's just do this acceptance. Also, too, unfortunately, a month before I aired, she did come out and speak on certain things that she was dealing with on
Hmm.
set, which she obviously dealt with what she dealt with. And I'm sorry for whatever that all was,
Yeah.
but it didn't make it easy. It actually made it harder, because all of a
Yeah.
sudden she came out a year before. And when I looked it up, when I, auditioned for it, it
Mhm.
was, I want to move on. Well, she did say that she wanted a shorter schedule, or like
Right.
just something to work, and they
Right.
didn't. And she also felt that it was time to move on to bigger and better things and
Yeah.
family and all the things. So I looked at that as a beautiful way for me to enter this,
Yeah.
because it wasn't like she was fired. It wasn't like she had a situation that, like a turbulent situation that made it be like, well, no, make it right and bring her back.
Yes.
She parted ways. So then a month before I air, when she came out and said that she never wanted to leave, and that it was because of this and that and whatever it all was, I was like, oh no,
Mhm.
no, 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 no. It
Mhm.
changed everything.
Yeah.
It all of a sudden made a lot more people hate me, a
Mm.
lot more people not be accepting, a lot more people really want her to be the one to come back. And even still, bring
Yeah.
Camila back. It's so funny. There's a trailer for next week with the explosion, and
And
then I
that's
had
one of
some
my
people. I
questions.
was I was at work all week, and I was at work yesterday, and I was the last one up. And so my phone died at the end, and when I charged it, all of a sudden I'm getting tagged to, yes, you're dying, leave days, and I
Oh
was
my
like, what?
God.
And yeah, I mean, people are crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And I was like, what are they talking about? Because I hadn't seen the trailer yet. And I was like,
Right.
oh, and then I started laughing. I was like, okay, okay.
Joke's
Well,
on you. Joke's on you. I'm still filming.
yeah. Obviously, I'm still filming, but we won't talk about that. We'll just let it be what it's going to be,
Right.
for the sake of storyline.
Yep.
But I do now that I've been there, it's so funny. I've been dropping my shoulders. I've been allowing myself to really settle in. Not
Good.
only that, I've been choosing to focus on the people that have been showing me nothing but love
Hmm.
and support, versus the people that aren't. I think that at the beginning, I focused so much on those that didn't, because there were maybe 5 people that were showing me love out of the hundreds and thousands of fans. I
Yeah.
was being shown more resistance and more judgment and more hate, and just really ripping me apart and dragging my looks and dragging my acting. And that was so difficult too, because I was
Yeah.
like, damn. And also too, what's really funny now looking back is I've gotten to see, I had a fear of coming onto the soap and being too big with my expressions.
Hmm.
Because with soaps, you
Right.
see them and they like do the pan up and they're like,
Yeah.
and I grew up
Yeah.
on Spanish soaps, and Spanish soaps, they're so dramatic. So like
Yeah.
when they do the look, they're like, no, right? And so I was like, I'll still feel it, but it'll be subtle. I'll give it subtle. No, no, Cherie, do not be subtle. Find the happy medium, because what
Right.
happens is that I got people being like, you have no expression, you weren't really reacting. And it's so funny, because I thought that it was going to be too over the top. So it's so funny that now watching it back, and I'm like, oh my God, you're so right. I didn't allow myself, I didn't give myself the space to like really react,
Hmm.
because I was scared that it was going to come off so big that it was going to be like,
Right.
why is she overacting? Meanwhile, that's not the case.
That reminds
So
me of like when Ellen DeGeneres had her like not a soap opera, her talk show, and she did like that segment where it was the soap opera, and they like say, "But I cheated with your brother," and then the actor would be like all over the top
yeah.
dramatic.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
then she'd
so
be like,
exactly, all the things. But like I said, I have settled into it really beautifully. And so
"Great."
there's more, like I can definitely see at the
Hmm.
beginning a lot of the stiffness, a lot of holding myself back, trying to stand up straight and really
Hmm.
not giving too much. So it's interesting because I'm like,
Right.
oh, and also little habits and things that you see of yourself as an actor. And I was like, oh, why
Mhm.
am I doing that? Like little nervous things, you know? And so over time, and so I think that that's a funny thing now because now I'm definitely more. But
Right.
but yeah, as far as the fans, all I can say, I'll finish off with that is that I'm just so grateful for those that have really been appreciating
Right.
my work and been giving me a chance and allowing me to really come into
Mhm.
this because I came into so much. Like within the first 3 months, I started just burning everything to the ground.
Yeah.
You know, it's like with Stabby too. I wasn't really given a chance at the beginning to like
Yeah.
grow in that relationship. They had such a beautiful thing where for so
Yeah.
long, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, you're gonna sleep with EJ and then he's gonna do this. And I was like, hold
Yep.
on, what? I haven't. Okay, all right.
Yep.
And like I'm coming into this, so I'm game. I am down
Yeah.
for this, but I'm like, oh wow, we're like going there. This is fast. Like everything
Yeah, I was
moved
gonna
very, very,
yep.
very fast
That's
with
what I
it.
was gonna say. You didn't come in and like, "Oh, hello," and like,
Yeah.
huggy, and starting
And
fresh
like, let's
as Gabby.
go do
Eh,
some with let's
right.
go cause
You
some
first
trouble
started you
together.
broke down Nicole and EJ's marriage right from
I
the
know.
start, and then
Hmm.
you end up sleeping with EJ. Like
Yep.
it became nonstop drama. You went right
So much.
into it.
So much, so much. So
Yeah.
it's definitely been a wild ride. And it's so funny. Something else I'll address too, um,
Mhm.
is the bistro scene, where I'm confronting Stefan,
Mhm.
after cheating on me, after basically
Mhm.
confronting him with everything and they left. Um, it's so funny because as an actor, especially on days, you get the rehearsal and you get the
Mhm.
take, and then you move on. You
Yep.
move on. Like you just really don't. And so, there are times where I'll do a scene
Mm.
and I'm like, like it was okay. And they're like, okay, like moving on, and you move on and you let it go.
Yep.
And then, now they have implemented an extra take, which is a really
Mhm.
beautiful thing. So if we want another go, or if they want another go, they'll do
Mhm.
another go. So you have
Yep.
more to be able to really like kind of
Yeah.
explore the
Mhm.
the the scene, which is a great thing. So with that bistro scene,
Mhm.
the first take that I did once Ava leaves was a very different version than what played. And it's so
Wow.
funny because the way that it played, the direction that I was given and the way that they wanted it was they wanted me to be so angry and so just cold. And I played it a little bit more soft and angry and
Mhm.
hurt. And they basically were like, no,
Wow.
you're at a 30, we want it at 100. So I
Wow.
was like, okay. So then I did it. I did that three takes. I did the second one. I
Nice.
was at a 70. And they go, you're at a 70, but we want you to go big. They go, we want you to go so big that it almost feels like you're overacting. And I thought to myself, and it's funny because, like I said, I'm not a big actor,
Yeah.
but like, I want everything to be truthful when I'm doing my scenes. And I gave them what they wanted. I gave them the 100. And I remember walking away from that and feeling like it was too much.
Wow.
Feeling like it was just like as an actor, everyone was happy with it, and they were like, "Yeah," and they were like, "I know, but it's a soap." And with the direction that they're
Mhm.
going with and Gabby, in that sense, is they're going in a very different direction than what Camila would have done. So it's funny because I'll get messages being like, "Camila would have never done this," and I was
Yeah.
like, "If Camila came back, they probably would have written her that way too after getting out of prison the third time." Because think about it, every
Yeah.
time you come out of prison, you're a different person because
Yep.
experiences shape
Yeah.
you. And so she would have slept with EJ. She would have done all this. She would have played it differently, but all the
Right.
circumstances probably would have been the same because that's what
Right.
they had in store for Gabby,
That's what I
regardless
was
of
gonna
who
say.
played
It
Gabby.
doesn't matter what anybody says. If Camila was playing the part, you playing the part, anybody else playing the part,
The
whatever's written
circumstances
is
would have
written.
been the same.
Yes,
Exactly.
everything. She may have played it a little differently. She may,
Differently. Yeah.
because her acting style is different than yours.
Yes.
But other than that, all of that plot line would have exactly been the same, and they would
Exactly.
have told her to make it 100 as well because that's what they were going for.
Yes. And so when I did that, it's so funny because I get to check in and watch every so often, especially now that I'm back at work. It's a
Mhm.
little hard, but I always make sure to watch my episodes
Mhm.
when I can, or at least my scenes, because there's just
Mhm.
so much going on, especially with being a mom and work.
Mhm.
Uh And I got messages after that episode from people upset with me and being like, that was over the top.
I
That
seen a
was,
lot of
you
those
were,
comments
yeah,
too.
being like, you were overacting. It was too dramatic. Why did you push Stefan? I was told to push Stefan. And it's so funny because even when I watched it,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I hate that I pushed him so much. It was just, honestly, for me watching it, myself as an actor, it wasn't my best work.
Right.
And I'm kind to myself. Like I said, I'm very kind to
Mhm.
myself. I'm very patient with myself,
Right.
and I'm critical of myself as an actor in a positive way,
Mhm.
not in a negative self-deprecating way, but just
Right.
more of like, I'm aware and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I can see how that didn't really feel authentic, but like I can move on and
Yeah.
I can do better and I can, whatever. Anyways, I was not a fan of my work in that
Mhm.
scene. Brandon killed it.
Right.
Brandon is one of the best actors on the show,
Mhm.
and they all are great actors, but he did so beautifully. And I feel like from what I was giving to what he was giving, it was just too big. So it's so funny because I got all these messages being like, it was over the top. You don't know how to act. And I was like, what is a scene? What is a scene? And I was like, oh, it's a scene in the bistro. I was like, you know what? That's exactly how I felt when I walked away from it. So I
Mhm.
watched it and I watched it, and it wasn't bad by any means. I wouldn't be like, oh, Cherie, you were the worst actor. But I can definitely say that it wasn't my best as far as myself as an actor. Like I said, I respect myself as an actor and my
Yeah.
craft so much that when something is authentic, I always want to be authentic and truthful.
Mhm.
And yeah, I that's
Right.
basically just the gist of what I want.
Right.
And with that one, I was just like, okay, it is what it is. Now
Mhm.
I moved on. I let it be
Absolutely.
for what it was. But it's funny because a lot of the feedback that I got was definitely exactly how I felt. And a part of me wanted to like respond to like the fan base on one of the and just be
Mhm.
like, you know what, guys, I agree. The fact that I pushed Stefan as much as I did, I wish I didn't. But like I was directed to like push him, to be
Right.
angry, to like
And a
flip a
lot of people
chair,
that
to
watch the
like
soap,
do
all
yeah,
they see is you acting. They don't see what goes on behind the scenes. There is directors, there is producers,
yeah,
there's writers, all the behind the scenes, like they are directing you what to do. They're telling you what is
yes.
in the script, what you
And
need to
like,
do.
just so you know, they're not gonna let me get away with something that they don't agree with. They're
Right.
not gonna be like, oh, well, that's just, they're gonna be like, stop, we want to go again. This is the direction we
Mhm.
want to go in. And
Yep.
all the directors are so wonderful and so
Yes.
lovely. And I love the experience of being able to work with a
Mhm.
different director every day because they have like
Absolutely.
5 rotating ones.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's just how that was directed. And so it's funny
Absolutely.
because for a while for like that week and I was like, all right, so for this week I'm just considered a bad actor, and I was like, you know what, it's not my best work, it's okay, I agree, but I'm not going to tell people I agree because I got to
Right.
get back to work. And also like I respect myself as an actor to
Mhm.
know that it's okay and moving on. And so
Yeah.
now it's funny because now that's done and I'm like, okay, now we can move on, and everything coming forth I'm just really
Mhm.
excited about, and I have some really great work coming, and
Yeah.
getting more comfortable and storylines, and yeah,
Yeah, and there's a, as you mentioned, the weekly preview, and it's explosive, pun
yeah,
intended. Um,
I know.
so obviously we don't want you to, I know you can't, but we
Yeah.
don't want you to spoil the outcome. Obviously, we know you're still filming, so there's
Yeah,
nothing
yeah, yeah.
worried
So
about
there's
that. But
that.
yeah, but
Although it is Salem, people die and come back,
that
so
is
you
true.
never
That is
know.
very that is very true. And I can't wait to talk to Julie about her
Oh,
scenes.
I
She told
know.
me her last week is coming up, so she's excited to talk next week closer to her exiting date to hype that up. So as everybody calls Connie, I don't know if you heard this, they call her Cuckoo Connie.
Yes,
I
yes,
love it.
yes,
I
yes,
love
and
it.
cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Yes,
Yes, there you go.
yeah.
So, obviously, without getting into what's going to play out and how that's going to happen, what can you tell everybody cryptically so they can want to tune in and be eager to tune in to see what's going to happen with that bomb and the explosive with Connie? Very
Huh,
subtly, just to
I
give
know.
everybody that little
Well,
hint of
I guess just
tease.
going off of the trailer, because that's
Hmm.
probably just like addressing those things. I
Hmm.
mean, obviously, you see that EJ and Gabby are moving in the direction that they were just in again. So that will play out the way that that will. And that'll be very interesting for people to see. I think people will be surprised in the direction
Okay.
that goes in. So we'll
Nice.
say that right there.
Okay.
And also it's really cool because I love working with Dan so much.
Yeah.
He's so wonderful. So it's so funny because people have
Right.
been like EJ and EJ and Gabby, and I was like, oh yeah, huh?
How do
Like
you
even
pronounce his last name though? I've been curious about that.
Dan Farrago, Far, Farrago. No, I don't know. You know
I
what?
can't
I'm
pronounce
not the one. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. I just call him, hey, love. So, that's my hey, love. But that'll be that. So
Mhm.
it'll be exciting because of right now and just the last scene. So Rafe is up from his coma, which
Okay.
is
Yep.
amazing. And I love that so much. So now everyone will really get an opportunity to see the relationship between Gabby and Rafe, which I'm really
Yes.
excited about because I
Yep.
love working with him and we've gotten so close. And it's so wonderful to have a family member on the show, to have a brother on the show.
Right.
So we only got like our one scene really, and then our scenes when he's in the coma,
Mhm.
like really.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that progressing and flourishing more. And also the friendship with Jada. I'm really looking forward to that as
Mhm.
well. Because when I first came on, I was like, so who's Gabby's friend? Does Gabby have any friends? And they were like, Gabby doesn't really have friends. I was like, what?
She has frenemies.
Like, yeah, frenemies. And I was like, oh.
Right.
And then of course they were like, well, Jada. I go, okay,
Right.
that's nice. Because I'm like, well, Gabby needs a friend, at least
Right.
one friend, like
So
within
who
the
was
mid.
playing Rafe in the coma? Because from my understanding,
There
Jalen
was
was on
there was
vacation.
a double.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a double because he was in a coma for so
Right.
long. So
Yeah.
there was a double. I forget his name, unfortunately. He only popped in. I mean, because everything moved so fast there, he was literally just laying there. And I was just kind of doing my little monologues and talking to him. And
Yeah.
also too, as you see, I started speaking Spanish more. So
Yes.
that's really exciting because more Spanish will be added in over time. Also too, at
Good.
the beginning, I didn't know how much freedom I had coming in as to what I could and couldn't change.
Right.
So I was more of just like, whatever you want me to say, whatever you want me to do. Now
Mhm.
I've gotten to a place to where I basically at first I started asking, hey, can I change this to Spanish? Can I change this to
Mhm.
Spanish? And then I got to a point where I was like, hey, so that I asked this one more time. Do I have the freedom moving forward to just change lines to Spanish if I want? Seeing that Spanish is my first language and I speak it with my grandmother, just I want to bring that more to Gabby because I've had people message me too as well,
Right.
fans, and be like,
Mhm.
you don't even speak Spanish and this and that. And I was like, but I do. They also need to understand that I'm coming into a situation where I was doing what I was told and I didn't know how much freedom I had
Right.
in being able to add Spanish in. So
Mhm.
now that I have all the freedom in the world, I'm just going to be changing lines here and there.
Right.
So there's that.
So I don't
So
really
like the
speak
Spanish is
Spanish,
coming.
right?
Uh-huh.
But I read online from, I guess, people that apparently do speak Spanish, and I want to get confirmation. The last time you were speaking Spanish, like, you were mad at somebody or whatever. Was there colorful language?
Yes, there was colorful language. There was definitely when I was on the phone with Abigail. I mean with because her name is Abigail in real life, with Stephanie,
Stephanie, yeah.
son of a
Okay.
is what I said, the hijo de
Okay.
PUTA. Yeah. So that's that one.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
everybody's
asked
like, I read a comment from somebody in one of the groups like, "Wow, Gabby, you got a little saucy side there to you
yeah.
right there.
Yes,
You had a
yes,
little
yes.
fire there."
The saucy side is there. Yes, I am quiet, but I'm also pretty saucy. But no, so there's that. So the rape relationship, the Jada,
Mhm.
the coma, the EJ relationship will be interesting. I can't say anything about where Stefan and Gabby are going.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
you'll
makes
see.
sense.
As far as Connie, I will talk about that. So Connie, first of all, Julie Dove has become such a great friend of mine. We're
She's
actually
so sweet.
gonna get lunch this week. Yeah,
Okay.
we she basically, it's like we started the journey together.
Uh-huh.
Because when I started, especially with the press conference, that was my third day on set.
Right.
She was there as well, and then we realized that they were going to start putting us together and that she was going to become my assistant. So we spent a lot of time really getting to know
Right.
each other and talking about our personal lives and running lines and just having so much fun with this whole dynamic. And so for, I guess, in the sense of a friend on set, Connie would be that for Gabby right now, which is why I've had
Mhm.
so many people be so upset and like,
Right.
how does Gabby not see what Connie is doing? And I was like, I don't think you understand. Gabby has had so much going on in her outside world that
Yeah.
Connie is the least of her worries.
Yeah.
Connie just seems so innocent in her mind. She's like, sure, Connie's
Mhm.
kooky. She's aware that Connie's got like a little, a couple of
Mhm.
screws loose there, but she's efficient. She gets the work done. So
Yes.
at the end of the day, that's all Gabby
That's
cares
my
about.
favorite storyline going on is the Connie, Gabby, Ava,
Yeah.
Melinda. That a lot of people don't like that storyline. That's my one of my favorites going on right now.
A lot of
Love
people
it.
don't like that either. And it's so unfortunate because people have been so like, at least at the beginning, they were like, what is this? What are you doing? And I was like, first of all, you're watching a soap opera. All the situations that happen, this is exactly what the drama, this is exactly what it's supposed to be.
If
Julie is doing such a great job
right.
because you dislike her so much
Yes.
that's how you know she's doing her job.
Her storyline is realistic compared to a mad scientist creating a serum that brings people back from the dead without their memories. Now, come on. People
Exactly.
do get
Well,
kidnapped,
at least,
gagged, hogtied, and
at
put
least
to a
that we
bed.
know of. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
exactly. I'm sure the
Yes.
FBI has that serum and we don't know about it.
Right.
But yes, agreed. And so it's been such a fun
Mhm.
dynamic because everyone's wondering who's going to take Connie down, how is this going to go down? And I've had
Yeah.
some people be like, Gabby, you've got to be smarter than this. How does Gabby not know? Gabby just doesn't know. Or does Gabby know and she's pretending she doesn't know? And that's one thing that I can confirm. Gabby doesn't know. Gabby
She
has no
doesn't.
idea. Gabby
Because
just doesn't
if
know.
Gabby did know, there's no way she would get herself in a situation to be tied up and a bomb. We know Connie's involved with that. It
Exactly.
didn't
Oh yeah.
show Connie in that situation, but who
That
else is doing
I
it? She
can
said at the
say.
end of was it Friday or Thursday that now
Woo!
Gabby's got to die.
Friday. So what's crazy? Well, it might be a combination of both because now that I look back on just the scenes that we filmed, it's actually really freaking crazy. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be so crazy that when you see actually what the situation is, you're gonna
Mhm.
be like, oh,
Nice.
okay. So like it's like without being able to tell you anything,
Right.
as you saw the last time that you saw Gabby and Connie together, Connie had a knife and she
Yeah.
was ready to take Gabby out. And
Yeah.
as you can tell, Connie also is not one to like waste time when it comes to taking people out.
Yeah.
Connie's
And she's
very
good at
just
covering her tracks. If you
she
want to
and
hide a
she's
body, call Connie.
call Connie. Yeah. Connie will hide the body. Connie will get the job done. Connie will do what she needs to do. Gabi, she will take out whoever she wants to take out. And also, too, coming to the fact that, as I would imagine without saying anything, remember the reason that Gabby went to prison essentially is because of Connie.
Exactly.
Gabby doesn't know that yet.
Yep, that is true. And I can't wait to have this background that I have on my background now because look what
I know there
um,
your background is pretty badass.
I
I feel
have
like
I have
my
the knife is there.
brother would absolutely love that. My brother has a Dylan Talks Movies
Nice.
YouTube account that he created, and
Nice.
he's really and this is pretty badass.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, so
yeah.
I have that knife there, so that'll be perfect for the interview I have next week with Julie.
Yes. That knife is very. Now, with that said, what I will say is that Gabby's not weak, so Gabby's going to retaliate, but unfortunately things go in a different direction.
Right.
So like, things
Yeah.
are going to get explosive and
Yep.
things are going to happen and it's going to change the course of everything. So
Right.
like in the direction where everything is headed right now, it's pretty predictable and it's funny because I always wonder what they're going to put in the trailer for the next week. And I'm like, so
Right.
how much are they going to give away? And also when they do the spoilers and it'll say certain things, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I didn't expect for them to say that much.
Right.
Because I'm always like, how much are
Yep.
they keeping a secret versus how much are they willing to spill?
Yeah.
And so with the spoilers, it's funny because people would be like, oh, so EJ and Gabby sleep together again. Oh, so this happens and this. And I was like, what? And then I'll see the spoiler and I'm like, oh, so they
Mhm.
decided to like
Yep.
give away
Yep.
some information there. And also next week I'll be in
Mhm.
3 episodes. The way it's been going is I've been in 2 episodes a week
Okay.
about. So next week I'm like, oh, I'm in it quite a bit. There's a lot that goes on next
So
week. And
what
so
episode, like not episode, like what days next week can we expect like the Connie scenes? Because I'm just trying to line up with when I
yeah,
can really
the
dub
Connie
on.
scenes will be at the end of the week.
End of the
So I
week. Okay.
believe I have it on Twitter because I have uh an account on here. I have a couple of, honestly, the Twitter fans, let me just say, I love them so much. They have been
Mhm.
so supportive and so just awesome and like making some cool edits and like
That's awesome.
gifts of me. I'm just like every time my like heart just is so full and I'm just full of so much gratitude and it just that's what keeps me going too, I
Right.
will say, of
Yeah.
just the mental health part of it that helps is that there are people that are supportive, people that are truly accepting of my interpretation
Right.
and are not comparing me to Camila. And even still, I have some people that'll message me, and those are the ones that I love. They're like, I still love Camila and I
Mhm.
love her interpretation, but I just want you to know that I really love what you're doing as well.
Yeah.
And that is awesome because
And
it's
that's
like,
how I feel. I loved Camila. She
because
was
I
an
don't want
amazing
anybody to
actress.
hate. I
Yeah.
don't want anybody to be like, oh, well, screw what Camila did. And you're,
Yeah.
but no, no, no,
No.
no, no, no,
That wouldn't be
no.
fair to
Like,
anybody, you know what I
no, don't
mean?
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, I saw, and it's so unfortunate too, to go back to just one thing real quick is that um somebody let me know about something on her Instagram that she, I don't know, liked something of people
Mhm.
putting me down and blah blah blah. And it was just so unfortunate because when I saw that, I was like, oh, like
Mhm.
that really
Yeah.
sucks because that's not how I want this to be. I would
Right.
love if I ever did talk to Camila or whatever that was to just
Right.
be like, hey girl, like you did a freaking amazing job.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sorry that things ended the way that they
Mhm.
did, but like I'm Gabby now and I hope that like we could be cool and like, we're
Yeah.
both Latin females. Unfortunately, that's not the direction that it's gone. And there's been a lot of friction with just
Yeah.
that. And and I have reached out to her too. I actually reached out to her. I had somebody ask me, and
Mhm.
I didn't want to make a thing of it, but I reached out to her when I first booked it and she never reached out back to me. And I
Wow.
didn't write it expecting a response
Right.
because obviously I just wrote it to just reach out and just to be like, hey, like I'm the new
Mhm.
Gabby and I love the work you did. And if you have any advice or any like
Right.
something, I'd love to kind of just
Yeah.
connect, kind of like a passing of the baton kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not the direction that it went. And that's okay.
And it seems like maybe she just wants to leave that part of her life behind.
And that's exactly the way I looked at it. Like I said,
Yeah.
I didn't do it expecting a response.
Right.
I did it just because that's who I am and that's just what I
Right.
wanted to do.
Yeah.
And her not responding to me is not me taking it as a, oh wow. Well, it's just more of
Right.
like, okay, especially after what came
What
out the
happened?
month
Yeah.
before I aired, then I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, so there's obviously more to this that has nothing to do
Mhm.
with me, even though I am the replacement. And also from what I was aware is that she left and came back a lot. So this
Yeah.
is the first time that they recast her. So
Yeah.
who knows?
Because it
Either
wasn't the
way,
first time she went to jail.
yeah, 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 yeah. So there's that. But either way, nothing but love for
Right.
her. And so we'll let that be what it
Yeah.
is. Back to Connie and back to the craziness. There's a lot going on. Connie will be the end of the week and it's about to go down. Like
Alright.
like it's about to get it's funny because it always gets a little crazy. Although I feel like last week was relatively calm. Rafe
Right.
woke up, at least in my storyline, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, like this
Yeah.
is a calm week. So this week
Yeah.
isn't this
And of
week is a
course,
crazy week.
I don't remember exactly what day I have Julie on. I have it on here, but I don't wanna accidentally, like I don't wanna go to, like, to check my meeting schedules or
Mhm.
whatever, and then accidentally stop
Say that
recording or
it's not.
something, or
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah,
happens
yeah,
with the
yeah, for
recording.
sure, for
But,
sure.
I know that, I think I have her, of course, in the beginning of the week. I think it's, like, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, like,
Okay,
beginning to middle of
okay,
the week,
cool.
so I don't think it's near the end. Maybe it's Thursday, but I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday, that I have her on. But, if you do go out to eat with her before when I
Yeah, I
have,
will.
definitely tell her I said hi, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm
I
so excited.
will.
I do have one more question for you before
Yeah,
I
love.
have you promote anything else that you got going on, and if you could, this is like I guess an open. I guess it's called an open-ended question. I don't know if you've ever been asked one of these before, but if you could transform yourself into the real life version of Gabby, not as the actress playing her, What would your daily routine look like as Gabi? Unique type of
That's
question.
so funny. Oh, my daily routine. Okay. My daily routine would start with morning skincare.
Okay.
So like a good skincare,
Mhm.
Gabby's always got to look fabulous.
Yep.
Um, Make sure the skincare, the makeup, the hair, everything, and then the perfect outfit. So
Mhm.
let's just start with that. Just getting
Right.
the whole Gabby gear and go. The perfect dress, perfect shoes, everything, all the details just right.
Nice.
Then I would go get breakfast with my brother.
There you
I
go.
would go I would go meet Rafe, have just like a little morning family time, a little coffee, a little orange juice, maybe some waffles. That's something that I've noticed about Gabby too, which is fun, is that Gabby eats. So like it's so
Yeah.
funny. The first time that they put food in front of me in a scene, at the scene with Rafe, I couldn't I didn't know how to act and eat because I was like, what if my mouth is full? Like I'd never actually eaten. And then Rafe, Galen is across from me eating and talking to
Yes.
me and doing the scene, and I'm over here like I barely even touched my eggs. Now it's funny because I'm given waffles, I'm given ice cream, and I'm just doing the scene, eating my ice cream, eating my
Nice.
waffles, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. I think too, it's just feeling more comfortable. Okay, so having a nice breakfast at the Brady Pub with
Okay.
the brother. Then I would go shopping at Saxton's,
Mhm.
buy a little something, and then I would stop by Sweet Bits and go
Okay.
see Chanel and go get some goodies, some little pastries for everyone at work.
Nice.
Then I would go to work. I would go to Gabby Chic. I would make all of my business decisions for the day. And then, of course, I would distribute. I would probably leave all the sweets for everybody to have. Um, and then I'd have a little cupcake for myself because, of course, and then probably another coffee just to get my day going again. And then I would leave that and I would go. And now this is not the situation now because unfortunately Stefan and Gabby are like not really in the best of situations at the
Right.
moment. But let's say that they're not.
Right.
I'm living this day as if Gabby and Stefan are just doing great. And then I would go meet Stefan at the bistro and have some lunch
There you
and
go.
just talk and talk and talk and tell him about all the things going on with Gabby Chic and all the things that I'm stressing about. And then he'd probably talk to me about EJ and how EJ is just keeps getting into his, all the drama, all the different things we'd catch up.
Not gonna
And
lie, those
then
DiMeras make me glad that I'm an only child.
yeah, yeah. I know, right? My goodness. I mean, well, I have a brother who I love, so there's that. But seriously, that
Right.
family is on
Well, send me
another
his
on another.
YouTube. I'll definitely subscribe to it, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I will. I will.
Yes.
I'll let him know, vice versa.
Yes.
Um, and then from the bistro having lunch, I'd well, because we're in the world, we probably stop by the mansion for a quickie. Have a quickie, leave the mansion, probably run into EJ on the way out and give him an earful about how much I can't stand him. And he'd probably do the same thing.
And I'm glad I broke up your marriage.
Yeah, exactly. But at that point, who cares? Because I got the man I really want. I
Right.
got the love of my life. And then I would probably go back to work to tie up some loose ends because, Gabby Chic is Gabby Chic.
Mhm.
And then after that, and then after that, I'd probably call Ariana for
Mhm.
FaceTime and probably do a little dinner with Ariana. So
Okay.
that would be, I mean, obviously, I'd love Ariana there with me
Mhm.
because I know it's so funny too. I've a lot of people be like, why isn't Gabby a present mother? Where is Ariana? Where is
He
Ariana?
said
And
that
it's
all the
funny
time with Camilla too, like with this
all the
poor daughter.
time. Yeah. And it's so funny because I'm a parent. And then I came on set and I was like, so what is the relationship? And they were like, well, Gabby's here and she's with her dad's. And I was like, does Ariana come? And they were like, well, yeah, but and I was like, oh, and so I'm getting asked, like, why should she a present mother? I was like, dude, I agree. Like,
Right.
Gabby, you're a mom.
Yeah,
Get your
right.
shit together,
Yeah.
So it would definitely have to include Ariana. Now, if I could have it my way, Ariana would be there instead of on FaceTime.
Mhm.
But considering that, she's with her dad's,
And
but I'd
child
probably
labor
just,
laws.
you know what? I'd probably actually get on the DiMera jet
Right.
and fly to go see Ariana. So that would
Yeah.
be better than FaceTime.
And
I'd
you have
probably
done
just
that already too,
exactly. So I'd
right?
be like, "Hey, Stefan, I need the jet. I'm gonna go to Arizona real quick, and I'm gonna go spend the rest of the day." Yeah, that would probably be it. I'd probably just go spend the rest of the day with Ariana, with
There
my
you go.
daughter. Yeah. So there you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. I
So
love that day.
yeah,
That makes my day look really like uneventful. I'm here in a Mario t-shirt and
I
Mario
love it.
pajama bottoms.
I love it though. I love it. I
All right.
love
Oh,
it.
I did think of another question when you were mentioning that. You did mention
Yeah.
your brother Rafe, and I don't know if you can say
Yeah.
this or not, but there are rumors spiraling out of control that the Hernandez family is getting another. Oh, it's not a sibling, but they're saying the cousin. Is there any truth to that? Can you say?
Yes.
Okay. What?
That I will say,
Okay.
because it's been there for a minute, and I
Right.
did see something about the fall previews.
Yes, I saw that too.
And so yes, that I can
Yeah.
say, and I am so excited. That's why I said spending time with my brother, the Hernandez family, which
Yeah.
I love so much. So the Hernandez family is expanding.
Cool.
And that's a great thing because I was talking to Galen one day in the dressing room and I was like, so we had a mother, a father, a sister, a brother. Like, what happened to all the family members? You know, like, I mean, obviously, so because he was so happy. I know he had a really close
Mhm.
relationship with Camila as well. And me coming in, he was like, oh, how's it going to be? And we've gotten so
Mhm.
close
Good.
and have such a wonderful dynamic working together. And, you know, I mean, we tell each other we love each other. We've gotten
Mhm.
that close. And our scenes are just really great. I think we have
That's great.
incredible chemistry. And so, yeah, I'm excited. And he's wonderful. I know that they announced and posted a picture back in April before they announced me as Gabby, which is funny
Mhm.
because they posted a picture on Instagram and I didn't know that they were going to post a picture because they
Right.
were like, oh, yeah, we're just going to do like a little guess who. It's going to be blurred. I thought they were going to blur us and be like,
Right.
guess who, you know, one of those. But instead, they blurred my ring. And I was like, if they don't know that I'm going to be Gabby, I'm wearing an
Right.
orange tight dress in the Hernandez kitchen,
Right.
which I thought
Yeah.
was really funny. But with Al Calderon. And yes, he
Okay.
will be a Hernandez family member and
That's
he's
great.
wonderful. And I'm excited for that.
I'm
That'll be coming
excited.
up soon.
I'm excited that for this family to expand.
Me too.
I think that diversity in TV really needs to be a thing, and obviously there's not many Latino or Latina families in days in general. I mean, I think all we have really is the
Yeah.
Hernandez family. So expanding that and bringing that diverse community to the show is great. And Galen's amazing. He's been there, I don't even know how many years he's been there before. I took a break when I went to my first college because it was a whole new experience, and I missed a couple of years, so I missed his debut on the show. But he's an absolutely fantastic actor. He had great
Mm-hmm.
chemistry with Camila. I can't wait to see what he does with you because, I mean, you're such a fantastic actress and you are a
Thank
great
you.
Gabriela Hernandez. I'm not good at
Thank
my
you.
Spanish,
Thank
but
you. Thank you. No, you said that beautifully. You said
awesome.
that beautifully.
And I'm
Thank you so
so
much. I
glad that
appreciate
I
the
had
love
you
and
on the
support.
show.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
yeah,
Thank you. This has
so
been so fun.
absolutely. To wrap things up, do you have anything you want to promote? Any other projects, social media accounts, websites, anything else at all to promote to the listening and viewing audience?
Um, I mean, I guess I'll promote my brother's YouTube
There
because
you
right
go.
now I've straight up really just been focusing on days. Like I said,
Hmm.
um, I have a movie that'll be called Guns and Moses.
Okay.
I went to the premiere of that at the Jewish Film Festival. What year are we in? This year. It
Okay.
premiered the same week that I premiered on Days, which was such a
Okay.
beautiful, incredible
That's
thing.
awesome.
That's got a huge cast. Dermot Mulroney, Christopher Lloyd, Neil McDonough, Mark Feuerstein. It's a huge cast.
Nice.
And it's I got to see the movie. It's so badass. It's so good. So I'm looking forward to when that comes
Nice.
out. I will keep you guys posted. Other than that, I've just been focusing on motherhood and
Nice.
Gabriela Josefina Hernandez-DiMera.
There you go. And
Playing that role. But if
that's
I'm gonna
exciting.
promote anything, it'll be my brother's
Go ahead.
yeah, my brother's YouTube channel. He is into movies and music and his knowledge is on another level. Like he just has such an eye for detail and just really great movies and
Mhm.
his edits are incredible. It's
That's
Dylan
awesome.
Talks Movies, Dylan with a Y, so Dylan
Okay.
Talks Movies. And so that's his
Okay.
YouTube channel. And I know that he's gaining some consistency on posting on it more, because I know with YouTube that's like the
Yep.
thing. It's
Yeah.
just being consistent.
That's why I'm not
Um,
really growing, because with grad school, I'm so busy. I'm teaching just to pay my tuition so I don't go in any more debt.
yeah,
And then I'm taking
yeah.
through classes, teaching 2 classes, working full time and all that. So doing all of that, like I'm not as consistent, which is why I'm not growing. So the consistency is really key with YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's literally what I
Yeah.
hear. It's just be
Yeah.
consistent, be consistent, be
Yep.
consistent. So, for both of you, consistency, to
Yes,
grow your stuff.
absolutely.
But yeah, I'd say that. And then yeah, and then oh, and then I do have uh I'm going to be a keynote speaker
Oh,
for a charity for a cause coming up soon. I'll be making an announcement of
okay.
that tomorrow. So I'm just kind of getting some details and some stuff put together in a
Absolutely.
flyer. So that's a really incredible honor, and something I hold close to my heart. So I'll be
Absolutely.
making that announcement tomorrow, and then yeah,
I will keep an eye out for that, and I will retweet that. Is that even a thing
yeah.
anymore? Retweet? Is
Yeah,
that what it's
yeah, yeah.
called? Or
Yeah.
re-Xing now? Or
Yeah. Well, that's what I realized. There's retweet, there's quote retweets,
oh
there's
gosh.
there's a whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so
Thank
I
you.
will
Yeah.
definitely retweet that for you. And Dermot Mulroney, I believe he was in my best friend's wedding too.
Yes.
He was
Yes.
in Scream 6, obviously horror fan.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna be meeting him actually in a couple weeks at Monster
Really
Mania. I'm going to Monster Mania in Baltimore. So I'll be
amazing.
meeting him, and I'm so excited to actually meet him because I heard so
Very
many
cool.
good things.
He is
Yeah.
really down to earth. Very
Yeah.
down to earth. I mean, honestly, everyone was
Yeah.
so wonderful. It was such a great
Yeah.
movie experience. But yeah, he's an awesome actor.
That's
So that's
awesome.
awesome. Very
Well,
cool.
thank you, Cherie, for joining
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been
Absolutely.
absolutely wonderful.
It was so much fun. I will definitely keep in touch if you want to keep in
Yeah,
touch too. I would love to have you back on the show as more storylines progress, and
for
maybe
sure.
at the end of fall sweeps, into like going into the winter and spring sweeps, we can have you on to promote what's coming up
Yeah, you
again.
just
And
let me know, and I would love
absolutely.
to. This has been a wonderful experience, and you're awesome. So thank
Thank
you so
you. I
much, and I
appreciate
appreciate
it. And
all the love and
you're just
support.
as awesome.
Oh, thank you,
Well,
love.
I will
Thank
go and
you.
subscribe to your brother's YouTube. Let him know that
Yeah, and then I
subscribing.
will
And
let him know the
yeah,
same as well.
absolutely. I will send
Yeah.
you over the link once this is posted. It's a longer interview. My interviews usually are between 20 and 40 minutes. This one's
Uh-huh.
going on 2 hours, I think. So
No freaking way.
yeah, I think you were a little late. You said
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
My
were getting
toddler
your
life.
toddler taken care of, so it was around 4:10ish, and until we talked a little bit before, so yeah, we're going. It's definitely
Yeah.
over an hour and a half.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
yeah,
All
it'll
right.
take a
So it's
little
gonna be
while to get it
a
rendered and
long
exported,
upload.
but yeah, but I'm
Oh,
happy to do it because this was such a fun experience, and
yeah, definitely. And
I
I'll be
will definitely
sharing
be
it
in
on all
touch.
my stuff on my Instagram. And
Absolutely.
do you have Instagram? You have Instagram,
I
right?
do have Instagram, yes.
Okay.
I have to check what my name is. I think it's S. McCoy Author because I'm a published author, so I think it's S. McCoy Author.
Ooh, are you
Yes,
really? What did
yes.
you write?
So, my most recent book is the big one. It was my first book that wasn't self-published, that was actually published by my agent. That one's called The Ultimate Halloween Movie Experience. So I interviewed a bunch of Halloween actors and actresses, directors, forward written by Jamie Lee Curtis.
Very cool.
Has a bunch of trivia questions in it and everything. And that was published by Bear Manor Media out of, I believe, Orlando or Tampa, in that area. And
Very
then
cool.
I wrote a best-selling New York Times best-selling book on my dad's battle with brain cancer, which is called Christ Defeats Cancer. And that he actually we just celebrate, I wouldn't say celebrated, but he passed away. It was 3 years in August.
Mhm.
Yeah, we the funny thing about that was when I had COVID, I was in the peak of my sickness on the anniversary of his death. I'm like, this is
Mhm.
God's way of telling me you're not gonna think of this. You're gonna be thinking of trying to get better.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yep.
Oh, well, I
Yeah.
send you so much
Thank
love.
you. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah,
I
of
wrote 2 books
course.
on his battle, and then I wrote a bunch of
Mhm.
trivia books on one was on Friday the 13th. I wrote a couple on Halloween, and
Yeah, that's right. Yesterday was Friday the 13th.
that is true. Yes.
That's
Yes.
right. I love the Friday the 13th. I always look at it as a lucky day.
Yes, absolutely. There's no unlucky days. There's only lucky
Yeah, no,
days.
no, no, for sure. I know people are like, oh no, Friday the 13th, don't leave your house. I was like, why? It's all good.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Step
yeah,
on a
yeah.
crack, break your mother's back. Yeah, right. That's not true.
Lots of
I
things,
stepped
lots of
on plenty
things.
of cracks.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Well,
yeah.
thank you so much,
Oh,
Cherie. It's been
thank you,
so much
love.
fun. All right. You have a great
Yeah.
rest of your day.
And you too,
All right.
love.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Yep. Bye.